Mr. Ambassador, I want to put to you some allegations being made by Russia against Britain by your Security Council chief, Mr. Petrushev. He's claiming UK forces blew up the Nord Stream pipelines. He's claiming UK forces helped carry out an attack on Russian ships in the Black Sea. He is claiming British security services are recruiting members of international terror organizations to fight in Ukraine, and he is claiming Ukraine is working right now on a dirty bomb with Western help. Where is the evidence for any of that?
The evidences on the participation of British special forces in preparation of the action against Sebastopol fleet has been delivered to British ambassador this morning and to the military attaché of Britain also this morning.
So you've delivered the evidence to
over there, yes,
our ambassador. So
exactly.
Why don't you show the world the evidence? Because these are very serious allegations.
Yes.
Why don't you show the world the evidence?
We perfectly know about participation of British specialists in training, preparation and execution of plans against the Russian infrastructure and the Russian fleet in Black Sea. And we know that it has been done. As I said, we do have detailed things which has been delivered. I will say that
but why don't you show the world the evidence?
Let me finish, please. It will come public pretty soon.
You will provide evidence of British involvement in an attack on a Russian ship?
Exactly. It will come public pretty soon, I guess perhaps today, perhaps tomorrow, but we know that it is happening. And it is dangerous because it escalates the situation. It can bring us to the line of, I would say, no return. Return is always possible, but anyway, we should avoid escalation, and this is a warning, actually, that Britain is too deep in this conflict. And of course it means that the situation is becoming more and more dangerous.
But Britain is only involved in this conflict because your country invaded a sovereign, independent state and is killing thousands of civilians. Where's the evidence then that Britain blew up these pipelines?
I didn't say that. It is under investigation, but I can say that for 2 years, British special forces were training Ukrainian special forces in Achakov.
But that doesn't mean they blew up the pipelines.
Procuring them, and they also provided them with underwater drones, also teaching them explosives.
But where's the evidence for this? Why don't you provide the evidence for this? It's very simple. If you've got the evidence, show it. This all makes sense only if it is a means to distract from Russia's failing in this war, to distract from Russians' war crimes, the crimes against humanity, and perhaps to pave the way for an escalation. That is the only way these claims.
This is your conclusion. It is not my conclusion. It is just danger we are trying to point out that it might happen. We are not saying that dirty bomb is over there, it's going to explode, but we perfectly are aware that this type of this preparation highly likely are possible. And we just want to attract attention of people to a Security Council, especially for biological weapon, that some investigation needed to be done. We do not want to distract attention. It is, we are doing, our military people are doing their job over there.
So Vladimir Putin's spokesman has said there will be reprisals for these things. He says, of course, we will think about further steps. It cannot be left like this. What sort of reprisals are you talking about? Military, diplomatic, economic?
I'm not sure what is the citation of that. What do you mean, reprisals, on what subject? If you are talking about cooperation, underwater cooperation, then we continue to study what has happened under Nord Stream as well. We know that studies has been done by Sweden and Denmark. They did not reveal what is the origin of it and what has happened. Study is now being done by Gazprom.
Well, they certainly haven't said that the UK is responsible for blowing up those pipelines.
If you allow me to finish, I appreciate your next question. Study is continuing what kind of explosion has happened underwater over there. It is too far and too difficult to find out, but as soon as we will find out, of course, we will think about steps.
Where there is plenty of evidence is that you are attacking civilian infrastructure and energy infrastructure in Ukraine because you've admitted it. The Defense Ministry has admitted it. Why are you plunging people in Ukraine into darkness? And why are you destroying the water supply of Ukraine?
wrong. These strikes, which has been executed in the recent years, they mean to strike command and control, communication system, and logistics mostly, and energy supplies as well. It has to be prevented the movement of troops by railway from the region to region. I will remind you that Americans in this situation, they bombed bridges on Danube River in 1999 in Serbia and destroyed all bridges. We are not doing this.
But that is a different thing to consigning families in residential areas to a winter without power and without water. What are you trying to do? To freeze these civilians to death? What are you trying to do?
This is also wrong perception, because it is Ukrainian infrastructure, as they are admitting, is destroyed a bit now by 30%. They can reconstruct it by it. It is the energy infrastructure does exist.
But the fact that they can rebuild it doesn't make it right, does it? But
these
there are long power cuts. There are long power outages.
Yes, but it is still reconstructible. Our cause was to prevent, as I said, and to damage the military infrastructure in the first place, and it has been done.
Isn't the truth that you are not waging a successful war against the Ukrainian military, so you are now waging war on Ukrainian civilians?
No. For about a month and a half, Ukrainians cannot gain a single piece of terrain over there. They are sitting on their own places without further progressing, and all of that is wrong.
But why are you also waging war then on the poorest in the world by not allowing ready supplies of grain to reach these people, by threatening to withdraw altogether from the grain agreement? Why are you bringing the poorest people in the world into this?
We continue now the delivery. We facilitate delivery of Ukrainian grain over
Right.
there.
Will you
at the same time, we have plenty of grain ourselves, and we are trying to deliver it to Africa, to a number of countries over there. Right. But we are still not allowed to do this by sanctions.
Will you renew the grain shipment deal, which currently expires in, I think, 2 or 3 weeks' time?
It expires on the 19th of November.
Will you renew
I cannot guarantee, because the second part of the deal about delivery of the Russian grain, and we suggest part of it will be free of charge at all. Still, this second part of deal is not being fulfilled.
The Kremlin said last night that the world's 5 nuclear powers are on the brink of direct armed conflict. Do you think that is true?
The nuclear war cannot be won, and it should never be fought. And we stick strongly to this statement. We will not use a nuclear weapon because it is designed for different purposes.
You will not use a nuclear weapon?
No.
What about a tactical nuclear weapon in Ukraine?
No. It is, well, now the world has got every assurances that Russia is not going to use tactical nuclear weapon in Ukrainian conflict.
What about negotiations? Is there a chance that there could be negotiation to end this?
Yes, I'm sure that it is always a good chance to have a good negotiations with a goodwill and a realistic understanding of the situation.
So what would be the minimum that Russia would want in those negotiations? Do you still want to keep your troops in Ukraine?
You're asking me questions which I cannot answer because negotiations are not in view, and what will be our position and Ukrainian position at these negotiations, it is hard to predict, of course.
Do you think President Putin wants a way out of this war now?
I think yes. I'm sure that we need a certain outcome, negotiated outcome, and we are not hiding away from the negotiations. We just want Ukrainian side, but Ukrainians has now prohibited by law that they're going to participate in negotiations.
You say President Putin wants to finish this war now.
Either it is now or not now, I cannot say. I cannot say it for him. He is the supreme commander over there. He is president of our country, and he is, as we have said.
Yeah. But would that require, in your view, does that require Russian troops, Russian forces to stay in Ukraine?
If we will need to protect the Russian population, which is populating all this area right now, of course we will need that Russian troops to stay over there.
And if Ukrainians won't accept that because it is their
Yeah.
sovereign country, what happens? There's just a prolonged war? Is a long war
I can imagine, yes.
better than a bad peace for you?
No, I can imagine that Ukraine simply is going to lose more and more terrain and more resources that it has by now. The potential is incomparable of two countries, and there is no way that Ukraine can win.
So you don't want to control the whole of Ukraine now?
This is impossible.
You don't want to
No.
remove the government in Ukraine?
No, we are helping all the Russian people that are living over there. Russian and Russian-speaking people who were deprived of their own rights, who were discriminated and killed over there.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.